I realized, in relationships, I'm steady trying to fix broken people and breaking myself,
Mm. So
so
how many gems you gonna drop during this? Because I don't know how much more I can say.
it's
You said you was broken. So wait, say that again, because I'm gonna mess it up. What did you just say?
so I'm so busy
Yeah.
trying to make sure everybody is fixed. So
Mm-hmm.
trying to fix broken people
Yeah.
while breaking myself,
Just shattering and crumbling, but trying to put everybody else together.
trying to put everybody else together
It just also made me think just like giving away pieces that you can't afford to give away.
that you cannot afford to give away. I gave a lot of myself and my time and my years,
Yeah.
and I am pouring into everybody's cup but my own. So I was empty and lost myself in that process.
Hey everybody, welcome to Heart Sleep Podcast. We back. I'm Octavia, the Surrender Gem. I'm your host, and I'm super excited that you're here with me today. We got a lot to talk about. We have a special guest. They're powerful. Their story is phenomenal. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, be sure to go back and watch the episodes from season 1 of the podcast. Phenomenal episodes. You will enjoy them. They will bless you. Additionally, we have the Heart Sleep Podcast journal for season 1, and it is like the most unique journal I've ever heard of. You can go into that journal, you scan the QR code, it takes you to the episodes, and you get to journey alongside the guests by writing about your own experience and answering prompts that go along with that episode. So if you've not received your journal yet, go on ahead to Amazon and get yours. It's only $13.99 right now, so that's a steal. Okay. And run back season 1. Now, without further ado, I want to talk to you about my guest because they have a phenomenal testimony and I want to make sure we get into it. So, this individual is just great. It's just awesome. I met them a few months ago, really back last year, towards the end of the year. And it has just been a godsend. This is a God connection, point blank, period. Like, can't nobody tell me nothing. Okay. Every single interaction has been amazing. And I'm very excited that they gave their yes to share their testimony on this podcast. So, this person is the founder of SiStars Speak. They are a minister, they're a mother, they're a friend, but they hold a title that they love to brag about. And I love it every single time she does it. So I'm going to let her tell you what that title is because that's the greatest title that she likes to share. So without further ado, please help me welcome Minister Kia Goodson. Hey,
Hey y'all, hey.
hi, welcome to the
Hey.
pod.
Hey sister, my sister, the
Yes.
rare gemstone.
Peep the shirt,
Yes,
peep the
yes.
shirt.
Listen.
Welcome to the pod. I was just telling the people, you heard me telling them you got you a title that you love to brag about. So go ahead and tell us what it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. The title that holds the weight above all else is the fact that I am a daughter of the King, the King.
Yes, the king, Big
Mm.
G. You know what I'm saying? Big G
Big
O
G
D.
O D.
So I love that. I love that. If you follow her on social media or any of her platforms, she will make it clear that she is a daughter of the king. So I love it. And I wanted her to say that herself. So welcome, daughter.
Hey, hey,
Are
daughter.
are you ready for this conversation today?
I am. I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm
It's
excited.
gonna be so good. Y'all, we've been fighting hard to get to this space today. There's been lots of technical issues and difficulties, but God is on the throne and we will
Yes.
not be stopped because we know that we overcome by the word of our testimony. So I am excited. We made it and we're about to get into it.
Let's
Okay.
go. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
So we've mentioned Sistar Speaks a couple times, but before we talk about that, which is where you are now, you're walking in it, you're walking in that ministry, it's powerful. We're definitely going to let people know what it is. We want to talk about a few other things first, and I want to start with your childhood. I want to start with how were you brought up and how did that shape how you viewed love?
Yeah, yeah. So it all started. My story is I speak to the little girl um, who was shaped in an environment my parents were married. I had an older sister, 9 years older than me. I have an older sister. She's 9 years older than me. In the household. Um, what I will say is that for me, as a little girl, the way that love was shaped, I saw my parents be together. They were providers, they handle business. So I
Yeah.
thank God for that. They handle business. I did not see a lot of what we would think is struggle,
Mm,
But what I will say is that there were some toxic things, there was dysfunction.
yeah.
Um, some things that, children shouldn't necessarily be privy to. I'm sure
Mm,
that everybody can resonate with that. But even in that, I see the goodness of God.
yeah.
However, being in those environments, that were a little dysfunction and a little bit of toxicity and really, really worldly. Back in that day, my parents loved to enjoy themselves. They worked, they kicked it, they partied, and there were a lot of house parties back then, so yeah, so those things, were happening in my presence. And so what I will say is that what I know about love is it shaped me in a way where what I wanted at the core
Mhm.
was for people to always feel loved, for people to always feel seen and not overlooked,
Yeah.
for people to be encouraged, because there was still a place in me that though my parents were providers and I know that they loved me, there were still some emotional pieces missing, So
Yeah.
I was taught how to be, a peacemaker because I became a peacemaker. I'm like, oh yeah, let me make sure,
Yeah.
that people are, happy or feeling good. And
Right.
then also learned how to be strong and not have to try to kind of be a little bit more on the, independent side. And I relied on my big sister who was like a second mother to me to help me
Yeah.
through things. So yeah, so it shaped me in reference to just wanting to always make sure that I help people
Yeah.
be held together, even though I didn't really know what that looked like for myself.
Wow. Yeah. I can resonate with that for sure, just the impact of what our childhood can have on how we interact with others, because I too had a parent that made sure everything was taken care of, but we
Yeah,
did not hug and we didn't kiss and we didn't say I
yes,
love you and things like that. And so
yeah,
that really impacted me as an adult because I really struggled with that closeness with, my husband or my children. Like that was something that really messed with me for some time. I had to learn how to do it. So I love hearing how your story just really shaped how you showed up for others and wanting to make sure everyone was good. I know too that when we were talking about your childhood, you had a pretty like traumatic situation happen that, created some shame sometimes and some bullying and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
absolutely. At the age of 7, I was burned third-degree burns. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. At that very moment, I was literally my 7-year-old body was on fire, in flames, and I was on my porch because I was playing with one of my friends in the neighborhood, and this man jumped out of his car to save me, to make
Wow.
sure that my body was no longer on fire. So he wrapped me with whatever he wrapped me with, and he put the fire out.
Mm,
And so my little body, I was third-degree burned, and that created some insecurities. It created scars that growing up as a child, they were not pretty.
mm,
And growing up, having friends, you spend a night over people's house, you have gym in school, we had swimming lessons, all type of things where those scars were
wow.
seen.
Yeah.
And so the kids, they're not always
Not always nice.
not
Yeah.
always nice.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
being teased and bullied a little bit because I was also, again, still that person that kinda tried to be a peacemaker. I was never a pushover, but
Wow.
definitely a peacemaker. So, yeah, so it gave me some scars as a young child that created some insecurities. So that's what
Yeah.
I would say about that, but it turned into those scars because you when you get burned, you have the opportunity to get a skin graft, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, at the age of 7, I decided to tell my mother, "I don't want one."
Mm.
And so I still have these scars. They're, of course,
Wow.
way smaller now. But every
Wow.
time I look at those scars, I see the beauty in the fact that God save me.
That's good.
I can look at those scars and say that they are beautiful because I am here.
That's so good.
Like, yeah,
That's
I'm
so
I'm
good.
here. So
That's
yeah.
such a powerful perspective, the beauty in the scars. That's
So
actually a whole different message we might have to come back on a podcast for.
listen, like literally like a phoenix out a phoenix rising out of ashes is what I see.
That's so good.
That's
I love that, a beauty the beauty in the scars. And there
yeah.
were a lot of scars. You had the physical scars, you had the bullying that took place as a child, but yet you still, just the person that God's created you to be, you still came up wanting and desiring to be the best you could be for others, right? And so this desire for love and this desire for belonging, kind of like this, like, I see you, do you
Yes.
see me type thing, right? Followed you as you got older. And so you grew up, you entered some relationships. Talk to me about those relationships.
Listen, I think that the relationships, when I look back over my life, um, they were the very things that I kind of held on to try to shape my identity to get that validation. It was very heavy because it was places that were wounded in me that I did not realize that I was carrying those things, but I'm that person, like, I'm gonna be here for you. You're I love you. You're seen, and I wanna do whatever that I can so that you're okay, so that you're encouraged. And you become like this people pleasing person. And so
Yeah.
I realized, in relationships, I'm steady trying to fix broken people and breaking myself.
Mm. So
So
how many gems you gonna drop during this? Because I can't. I don't know how much more I can say.
it's
You said you was broken. So wait, say that again, because I'm gonna mess it up. What did you just say?
so I'm so busy
Yeah.
trying to make sure everybody is fixed, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to fix broken people
Yeah.
while breaking myself.
Just shattering and
Just
crumbling, but trying to put everybody else together.
trying to put everybody else together.
It just also made me think, just like giving away pieces that you can't afford to give away.
That you cannot afford to
Woo!
give away. I gave a lot of myself and my time and my years.
Yeah.
It even led into, a marriage of me trying to, fix that toxicity in people and bridge a family. In my marriage, we had a blended family. So in that process, I'm trying to be the wife, I'm trying to be the mother, I'm trying to be still the friend, the daughter. I'm trying to be all of these things, and I am pouring into everybody's cup but my own. So I was empty and lost myself in that process.
Yeah. And that's like really important to note, because as mothers, as parents, as spouses, we can really pour out beyond what we actually have to give at times.
Yes.
Sometimes we fall on that end of the spectrum where we're not giving enough, and at other times we're giving too much.
Too much.
And marriage and relationship, it's meant to be a balance. We're meant to help one another. We're meant to
Yeah.
support one another. Um, and that can look different depending on the relationship, but it's not meant to pour beyond the capacity that you actually have, so much so to it becomes unhealthy, right? And even with our children, can you talk a little bit more about like what that looked like for you as a mother, because you really were working to show up, and just how that was?
I mean, I was working to show up. I have my bonus too that I gained in the marriage, and I literally was all over the place because not only from my childhood, learning how to be strong and learning how to just show up and just being used to pushing through. I'm there for each and every child. I'm tending to each and every child differently. I'm making sure, that my bonus children feel the love and that they don't feel a difference in the love, from my children that I biologically birthed versus, them being joined by marriage. So I really went over and beyond. I was the mother who made sure I showed up every event, every sport. I cooked. I wanted to make sure my kids had full course meals. I wanted to, you know, hug and love on them, and we have family conversations. So yeah, doing all of that, you don't even realize sometimes that you are literally exhausting yourself. You are exhausting yourself. Your soul is exhausted because I did it without thinking. It was just, let's go. My kids are not gonna want for anything. My parents were providers. And what I didn't get, what I felt was love. I'm gonna love on these kids. I'm gonna be the difference. So sometimes we can overcompensate for the things that we feel that we were lacking. So yeah, it's a lot. And then you think to yourself sometimes like it's the norm. It's the normal. And this is just who I am. But that's a lie. Because that's not even the type of God that we serve. God's characteristics, yes, is loving, and there's meekness, and there's kindness, and there's endurance. Love is enduring all of those things, absolutely. But God is never a God that wants you to break yourself while trying to fix what's broken in others, because he's the one that will fix them, not you personally. Yeah.
And so you're
Yeah.
working hard in this relationship to be the best mom you can be to all of your children, bonus and birth, which is amazing. But I love how you tied in, like, you've gotten that example from your parents about how to work hard and really provide. So you were making sure that you met that standard, but then you also were trying to ensure that you gave the love and the nurturing and the relationship you desired coming up. And so you're doing all of these things and you're showing up as a mom and you're showing up as a wife. And I'm guessing all this showing up ended in the perfect relationship.
Woo, far from. Because, yeah, because what happens is when you don't already have the wisdom and the knowledge of
Mm-hmm.
who God has called you to be, of what God can show you, the love
Yeah.
that God has for you,
Mm,
you begin to accept and you operate in a way that is toxic. I'm going to say
mm,
toxic because instead of being as Abba, our father, would want us to be evenly yoked,
mm-hmm.
I was unevenly yoked
Wow.
because number one, I was in a relationship where I knew some of those core values of what at least a marriage should look like. I had a revelation of what love should feel like. But what I didn't have was God first in that, because in any relationship, you wanna make sure that it's a God sent relationship. You wanna make
Mm-hmm.
sure, number one, that you know who you are first, because
Exactly.
knowing who you are first, you'll know what you're going to accept. You'll know
Yeah.
what you deserve. You'll have discernment. You'll know
Wow.
what's right and what's wrong. And so not
That's good.
knowing those things, still wanting that validation from man instead of God,
Yeah.
I chose a marriage that God did not choose.
Wow.
So, and in that, it ended. I'm the saved wife. I wasn't always. I repeated some of those patterns that
Mm-hmm.
I saw with my parents. I
Yeah.
had a lot of fun. I worked hard. Bills were paid. We worked hard, but we did a lot of partying. We did a lot of
Mm,
outside things. You know what I'm saying? So we did all of those things.
yeah.
But then there was a turning point.
Mm,
There was a turning point where the seeds that my grandmothers dropped
yeah.
was saying, let me teach my granddaughter how to pray. Kneel down every
Mm,
night and pray. The seed that was dropped in the relationship that I needed with the father, those things started to kick in. And one day I was just like, I got to get back into the house of the Lord.
yeah.
The marriage was going to the left. It was chaotic. I was
Wow.
not wanting to continue to operate the way that we had operated in ignorance.
Mhm.
And so there was a pull for me to get back into the house of the Lord, because I've been in and out of church. Absolutely. My grandparents raised me, and they had me going to church as a young child, and
Yeah.
so yeah. So I had the knowledge of course, who the father was, who our
Mm,
father is. But
yeah.
God called his daughter back. I ran into the house of
Amen.
the Lord, and I'm still at the church that I ran to
Yes.
in the
Oh,
midst
that's
of the
amazing.
crazy. In the midst of the crazy,
That's good.
I
That's good.
said, I need God.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, and just to be honest, and it ended in divorce, because as the years went by and I continued to serve God
Yeah.
and I started to surrender more unto his will,
Yeah.
I began to not look as pleasing. And when I say look, I'm not talking about physical look.
Mhm.
Well, there's some of the physical, because in this world, it's not about faith with a lot of
Mm,
people that are in the world, because it's all
mm.
about what they see. and
That's
the
good.
material things. So I became a person that wanted and desired to have God and to be changed and not be looking like this world and not continue to be in the world. And so my ex was not in that space. So we truly became unevenly yoked. I was growing towards God and he was continuing to want to do the world, the streets, you know. So
Wow.
we literally were clashing and there was not a commitment to the commitment in the vows that we made to God. And so, you know, even in that, and I know I'm talking
Mhm.
and I we can move on, but I just want to say that even in that, I thought
Yeah.
me going to God, I still hadn't truly surrendered because I still had a motive of, let me be the wife. Let me be the saved wife. Let me pray.
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
getting books. I'm like, Lord, teach me how to pray. Teach me how to pray to save my marriage. Teach me how to bob in and out of the spirit for my marriage.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, I'm coming to God because God, I want you to fix this because I'm in this marriage and it's going crazy. And I know that we
Mm.
need you. But my motive and my heart posture still wasn't quite yet where God needed it to be because I still was like, fix this. I still was like,
Wow.
Lord, I'm gonna be the saved wife and you're gonna fix him because I'm praying and I'm going to the throne. But what God was doing was he was shaping me and he was molding me, he was refining me, he was building me from the inside out because my prayer life went up.
Yeah.
My communication with him went up.
Yeah.
Me having a thirst for him went up because I was searching
Yeah.
his word, you
That's
know.
good.
And so then my posture changed because God said, you're going to continue to try to have me fix this situation that I never ordained. And
Mm.
so he had to allow it to end in the most shameful, hurtful,
Mm.
humiliating way to where I was going to have no choice but to say, I hear you, God.
Mhm.
So,
And that's a lot.
yeah,
That's a lot. And it's,
sorry.
no, you no need to apologize because that's so good. Like, there's so much that you said in there that I just wanna make sure that I highlight. Sometimes what looks good and what looks fun and what looks like it's working is chaos. And I just really want to harp on that because you're talking about how as a couple, you all were taking care of the responsibilities. You were taking care of the bills, taking care of the kids, working together in that sense, and you were having fun, right?
Yeah,
But what's fun in the world is not the fun that God desires us to have. And when we just live a life of fun in sin, we are just, it's death, right? It's
it's
sinful
death.
nature and it's the wages of sin is death. And so it looks fun, but it's really destruction. And so you were living this life of chaos and you finally realize like this ain't it.
It's
This
not
ain't
it.
it and I need more. And so thank God for that foundation from your grandmothers who
Mhm.
taught you this is how you seek the Lord. But then I love how you highlight that sometimes being set apart, being sanctified ain't cute for some folks, right? So now
Right, that
you're
part.
this powerful woman of God. God's grooming you and growing you to be this powerful woman that he's called you to be, but it's not attractive to those to some that you love.
That part.
And that's hard.
Very hard. Very hard.
So when you finally realize like this is going to be a no from the Lord, how was it grieving a relationship that you were fighting so hard to fix?
Hello, my name is Faquella, and I just got to tell you about Clarity Cut coaching sessions. Octavia provides these free of charge for women who are looking for direction, looking for accountability, looking for a safe space to just allow themselves to be. When I came into this back in November of last year, I was in a very challenging season. I was facing many obstacles and really trying to figure out what God was calling me to do and who he was calling me to be and how to fully let go and surrender. I'm telling you now, I have been transformed. I did not leave out the same way that I came, and I'm continuing the journey. So shout out to you, Octavia. Thank you. So if you are a woman who are looking for that type of connection or just direction, then you need to go ahead and click the link below. Get you signed up for a free Clarity Cut session today. Don't go nowhere. Go ahead, look down and click on that link so that you can get the help that you need because we can't do this on our own. Now, let's get back to our heart sleeve video.
So very Shameful. I went through a lot of phases. I was ashamed
Yeah.
because I done put my neck out here. I done put my neck out here for this man for 15 years
Listen.
of my life. And
Mhm.
okay, so I had some anger. I had a lot of shame. I felt rejected. I felt a lot of rejection, and some of that, though some of that still childhood trauma, getting
Mm,
teased a little bit and things like that. But the rejection of how can you be such a good woman to someone and they just slap you in the face. And the thing too, with my grieving process, I did not have an opportunity to grieve alone or to even give anybody an opportunity to hear my testimony and give it to them. It was
mhm.
publicly displayed. And so you got everybody in your business. Like, are you
Yeah,
still
and when
mad?
you say that,
Yeah.
without giving too many details, because we don't gotta get into it, but when you say it was public, like, can you just give a little bit more context about what you mean with that?
So, what I mean by public, we have social media, and social
Mm,
media can be a blessing, but it can be a curse. It can
right.
definitely hurt
Be used for
people,
evil, right.
for
Yeah.
it can be used for evil. And
Mhm.
so in that marriage, when it ended abruptly. When it ended abruptly due to infidelity
Yeah.
being outside in
Mm,
this world. And in this day and age, everybody records, everybody wants the camera, the lights, the action.
right.
And so that's what I mean, it was public. It was
Mm,
publicly displayed. So most people, well, I don't know, now the numbers may be up on this type
yeah.
of stuff being exposed, publicly, but most
Yeah.
people have an opportunity where I come from and how I grew up to handle their business in private.
Right.
So for me, I didn't get that opportunity to.
Mm,
I didn't get that opportunity to grieve in private. And so that was yet another obstacle in my grief process that was very hard because everybody already knew and you had to deal with the questions and you know,
and they nosy. They just
no, that part. So, it was a lot,
mhm.
but I just thank God for, again, him setting me up in my relationship with him to when the blow came, the weight was heavy, but it was actually light because God was
Wow.
carrying me. He was carrying me. He was carrying me. I did not go to the left like the old kid may have. In those situations,
Yeah,
people
that's good.
literally lose it.
So we could turn up. Oh, you wanna turn up? I could turn up too.
It could have been very, very ugly, you know what I'm saying? But God,
Mhm.
that's all I can say
But
is really
God.
but God. And it's not
Yeah.
about tea, you know what I'm saying? This is not about tea.
Right.
I'm
Right.
sharing because this is something that I know that people go through. Divorce is at an all-time high because people
It
don't
is.
marry under God's will.
Right.
So, and this is what happens, but I'm
Yeah.
standing here as a living testimony um of the goodness of God
Amen.
because I was able to heal and
Yeah.
learn who I am. And learning who I am let me know that, Kia, this was not, 100% like all your fault. Yes, you moved
Mm.
outside of God's will,
Mhm.
but the
Mhm.
person, the woman that you are, the loving person, the loyal, faithful encourager,
That's
peacemaker
good.
that you are is still beautiful.
Mm. Yeah. And also, like, in the midst of all of this, God was still preparing you for what you were going to experience. And I think that's the other beautiful part about it. In the midst of the pain, it was probably awful, I'm sure. But throughout this time, even before this all blew up, you were learning how to seek God for yourself. You were learning how to have relationship. You had already had started that very beautiful process to us, of being set apart. And
Yeah.
so this is happening. You're having to face this. There's the shame attached to it, yet God is keeping you. But this wasn't the end, right? Like you had a few blows during this time in your life. And I know one of those was to do with your son. So did you want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah. Yeah. We could definitely talk about that. That was yet another place
Mm,
that I had to try to surrender.
yeah,
I'm gonna keep using that word surrender because I know it's
so good.
near and dear to you,
It
but
is.
it's so real.
It is.
So yeah,
Mm,
it really is. So my son, yeah, after raising him, um, blended family,
Mhm.
making sure he had what he needed as well. We kept him in sports. He did really well in sports.
Mhm.
In football, had opportunity for scholarship, but he got involved with the wrong people, the wrong
Mm.
crowd,
Yeah.
and he was made an example of fresh out of high school and
Mm.
ended up being incarcerated.
Oh, yeah.
My son did he was raised in a two-parent household. Granted, the blended family has its own set of
Right.
obstacles because,
Yeah.
you're not biological mom, you're not biological dad. So there's some things that needed to be addressed there, but
Yeah.
I think the thing that I had to surrender was my son in general back to God, because I know that I also planted a seed of God. When my children were little, I kneeled down just like my grandmothers did, and I prayed with my children.
Yeah.
And we went to
That's
church,
good.
but we just weren't there on a regular basis, but we did go. So they have a foundation to
Mhm.
know who God is. But
Amen.
as a mother, your son gets incarcerated, he's excessively sentenced. You have to surrender your child, and you have to surrender any type of authority or control that you had in
Mm.
reference to your son's life, in reference to your child's life,
Wow.
because they're in a system. I cannot just pull up on my son.
Right. That
I
part.
cannot
Yep.
put what I'm saying, I can't be
Yeah.
hands on and come in and fix things. He's now in a place full of toxicity, and I know
Yeah.
he's like nowhere near, some of the things that he's experiencing and seeing in that place. So it really forced
Wow.
me to get into a place of trusting God
Mhm.
with my child
With
to
everything.
know,
Yes.
like, the guilt, the questions, the heartbreak of it even going that route. And what did I do as a parent? Like, why in the world would he still make this decision? Like, was my love not enough? Like, he didn't want for anything,
Mm.
like, all these
Yeah.
things.
All the
So,
questions.
all the questions, but I had to trust God with my child, and I had to give
Yeah.
my child back to God. And so that in itself, and it's still a process because my son is still incarcerated, but
Right.
it's a testament to the fact that my God, our God,
Yeah.
he said that your son's gonna make it through. Your son has an out date. Your son is still living and he's still breathing.
That's good. Still living and still breathing. Yeah. That's so good. It's like the moments in which your heart was breaking the most, the moments in which
Ugh,
it felt like the pieces were just falling apart. Those were the moments where God was actually putting you back together.
yeah, yeah,
That's where your faith was being tested and where your faith was getting stronger. And
yeah.
that's hard. That's hard. That's hard to bear such a heavy load of not only has my marriage of 15 years ended, but now we're in, during a stage of my life where I should be able to show up and support my children and love on them and help them get through different stages of their lives. I can't even reach my son in the way that most mothers can. So yet there's another loss.
That part.
In the midst of all of the loss and all of the transition that took place in your life, as you continue to trust in God and build that relationship, how does it look to show up as a daughter of the King?
Ooh. How does it look? So what it looks like is being open to giving my testimony. What it looks
Mhm.
like is being surrendered unto God, having a thirst for God, having a thirst for all things God.
That's
Because
good.
man and in this world will fail you every time,
Every time.
but God will not.
Mm,
And so when
that's good.
I show up and I want to have this scent and this aroma that takes you to a sweet place, that takes you
Mm,
to a loved place, that takes you to a safe space. Instead of it being a stench, instead of it being like the smell of smoke, burnt flesh, because I experienced the smell of burnt flesh and I know what that
mm.
smells like.
I could not imagine. Oof.
So instead of it being that type of stench, I wanted to take you to a sweet space. And
Yeah.
so it's a everyday work. It's a everyday choosing to say that I am the daughter of the king. And what does that look like? That means that I have to represent myself as just that. I
Mhm.
cannot fit in. That means I have to walk being set apart.
Mhm.
I'm a minister, but minister
Mm.
simply means to serve.
So good.
And that's what I want. I want for my ladies, for my sisters to feel loved, to come up and come
Mhm.
out of those low places, you know? Because God has called us to sit
Higher.
upon a hill. He's called us as
Yes.
masterpieces, his masterpiece.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
I love that you keep bringing up surrender because surrender, I've mentioned in several spaces, even probably in some of these episodes, that surrender
Yeah.
means to totally abandon yourself. And when we surrender to
Yes.
God, we totally abandon ourself, our will, our own desires to do exactly what He's called us to do. And like you said, this is a daily journey. This is something you have to wake
Yeah.
up and choose to do every single day. You have to choose to serve God, and then serve who He sends you to. And
Yeah.
so when we were speaking in one of our conversations, you mentioned that your pain is not your prison, it's your platform. And that in this revelation, that's where you began to find identity in Christ. That's where you began to learn how to truly heal in Him. And that is where SiStars Speak kind of took its shape and its form, because this was something that God gave you while you were married, but it
Yes.
kind of was halted for a while, right? So tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that.
Yeah. It was halted, and it did not come into full force until the divorce. And
Yeah.
my son was already incarcerated too, because my son got incarcerated
Mm,
before the divorce. And so Sistar Speak was birthed out of everything that I survived,
wow.
everything that I refused to not stay stuck in. I could not even come up with a mission statement until I had gone through my divorce. It started
Mm,
before the divorce. I'm like, oh yeah, Sistar Speak. I'm like,
mhm.
for some reason, I kept saying, not just, sister, it was Sistar. It was like shine bright. It was like diamond,
I
process,
like that.
refiner, chisel away. So that's the reason why it's SISTAR.
Mhm.
Um, and it was like, do not be silent. It was like, you don't have to be quiet. You don't have to suffer alone. You
Yeah.
don't have to suffer in silence. You don't have to lose yourself while pouring into others.
Mm,
You don't. And so Sistar Speak was birthed to
so
be
good.
just that, to be a support for women, to help women know their identity, to have
Yeah.
them get to know who God said that you are, how he
Amen.
created you, and what you can get in the relationship through the Father.
That's good. That's good. And so it's all about empowerment. It's all about freedom.
Yeah.
And it's about just helping people realize that even in the broken places, God will use you. That even when you're breaking, He'll use what you're going through to help put someone else back together. He's mending you in the midst of the
Yes.
breaking. It's good. It's
His
so
strength
good.
is made perfect in our weakness.
Amen. Amen. So I am just grateful for your testimony because women go through some stuff. Men
Oh,
go through some stuff too, but
yes.
we
Yes.
as women, so we can speak to the women's side. And women go through things like hard relationships and having things happen to their children or their loved ones that they really can't do anything about it. It's
Right.
beyond their control. And learning how to lean on God wholly and truly and fully surrender in these moments is so powerful. And I want to make a statement too that as a fellow divorcee, we are in no way, shape, or form saying that we are for divorce. We are
Oh,
not pushing divorce. God
not at
is a
all.
God that restores. He's a God of restoration.
Yes.
And so he can restore and he will restore. And there's so many marriages that he has done just
Yes.
that. But sometimes that is just not the plan. And sometimes the freedom comes when we let go of the thing that God is saying, let it go, because the heart has to be willing to receive him. And sometimes the heart is just not willing to receive. And there are things we talk about often in the church about how God hates divorce. And I
Mhm.
often like to highlight for people, he does hate divorce just as much as he hates sin in general, right? But he does not hate the divorcee. And
Yep.
he does outline in the word what he will allow regarding divorce. So we need to keep those things in mind to ensure that we don't shun people when they have these stories or they need to share on these stories. And we need to
Yes.
help people heal that have gone through this, because myself and Minister Kia, we can both tell you going through divorce is not fun. It's not something we would wish on anyone, and it's not easy. I know myself, I'm like, I don't want to do what God hates. I don't
Right.
want to do that. And so sometimes though, it's the thing that brings the freedom, and he's telling us to let go. So I just want to thank you, Minister, for sharing this today in this space. I want people to know all about SiStars Speaks. We're gonna definitely put your information in the comments below, because I want people to be able to connect with you and to talk more with you and glean from you, if that be the case, if that be the need. But to the woman who is listening, that is suffering, that may be silently suffering, that might be putting their all into this marriage, this relationship, the children, or the job, the whatever, the one that's just feeling super shameful or like they can't come out and say the things that they're going through, the one that's questioning their identity, what would be the final thing that you would say to them?
My prayer would be that she know that she's not too broken, to not be too ashamed. She's not too far gone for God to heal, and that God wastes nothing. So he's not wasting not a
Yeah.
tear, not the rejection, not the trauma, not the heartbreak. He's
Mm,
not wasting it,
that's good.
and that he can redeem every single part of your story.
Every single
Every
part.
single part of your story. It's still purpose in your pain.
Mm,
It's still power. You still have power in your voice. So do
amen.
not be silent.
Yeah, that's
There
good.
is still healing available to you.
Yes,
So,
healing is available to you. I love that. And we're still healing. We continue to heal daily.
yeah,
And even in
absolutely.
your story, as you are being a daughter of the King, you still are healing and aware that your son is still not here yet, but you've in God been able to see that he has an outdate and that he's still among us. I love the perspective, the mind shift, right? The transforming, the renewing of the mind.
Oh my
So
goodness.
good.
It's necessary. It's necessary. Because if you just sit and you sit in those things that have caused you pain, you'll sink instead of focusing on the one who is the painkiller, who is the problem solver. So,
Mm,
I say that often, and people don't really know how to do that, and I get that, but that's why we're here.
yeah, that's good. That's why we're here. Testimonies. There's freedom. There's freedom. There's overcoming in the testimony. And, I would like to add that your identity is not rooted in what you've been through.
Not
It's
at
rooted
all.
in who God says you are. It's
That part.
who he says you are. And if you're questioning if you have purpose, you do. You do. So ask God how to walk it out. Minister, I am so blessed by your testimony, and I'm so grateful
Yeah.
and honored that you're here with me. I'm going to be sending you a small thank you. So keep your eyes out on your email. Thank you for blessing us with these words of wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, again, like, share, and subscribe to this channel, but also be sure to check out Minister Kia's ministry, because it is a blessing, it's powerful, and I want you to be just as blessed as I have been in knowing her. So that is our episode today. I want to
Amen.
just thank you. I don't know what else.
I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And what I will say is that us is
Yes, yes.
it's a testament to being in alignment with God, because he'll
Amen.
place you with who you need to be placed with, and he'll give you his divine ordained connections,
Amen.
community, sisterhood. He'll give it
Yeah,
to you.
that's so
Brotherhood,
good.
because it's not just women. Yeah.
The
So
hood, all the hoods, the
all the
God
hoods.
hoods.
God hood.
Yes, yes. Continue to lean in him, because he will connect you with divine, God sent heavenly connections. It's a thing, it's real, it is so. So we just want to say thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Be sure to stay tuned and keep an eye out for our next one. Until then, keep shining. We love you. Bye.